In a previous exercise, I was showing how you can upsample an image in Photoshop, essentially to smooth away those jagged pixel transitions you get with low-resolution imagery. But of course, you also get these really blurry, gummy details that aren't worth the upsampling in the first place. They're not worth the addition of all these pixels. So the question becomes, what are the better solutions? And I'm going to show you two solutions, one of which is very simple, but relies on your suspension of disbelief to a certain extent. And the other is more elegant, but demands that you buy another piece of software. That's well worth a purchase. I highly endorse it. So let's say I'm going to print this image very large. Now, the analogy I always make is you want to print the image on the side of a bus or on a billboard or something along those lines. And this is how those guys typically do it. But I know that most of us aren't working on that kind of art. You might, however, be printing an image very large so that you can frame it and mount it on a wall. That whole notion of needing 220 pixels per inch flies out the window for artwork that you view from more than a foot away. So all the resolution stuff that we've been talking about so far is for near viewing experiences, magazine work, book work, print work, anything that somebody's going to hold in their hand. However, if you're mounting it on a wall and you're backing up 3 or 4 feet away, then those pixels get smaller and smaller and smaller, and it's just like having a higher resolution monitor or something along those lines. And to give you an idea, my favorite story where this is concerned is that I was working with this guy who is doing background artwork for the re-release of the original Star Wars trilogy. And he was doing some background art, and he sent me a piece of artwork that was 2,000 pixels wide. Now, to give you a sense, if I go to the image menu and choose the image size command, we can see that this image is 7,000 pixels wide. So what he gave me was just 2,000 pixels wide, and it was beautiful. And so I wanted the original version of the image in order to put it in the book. And he told me, well, this is it. This 2,000 pixel version of the image is it. And I said, but you're going to show it on this enormous screen in a movie theater. And he said, yes, but that's as many pixels as 70 millimeter film can resolve, which is the way things used to work back then. And besides, nobody gets that close to the screen. So to you, it looks perfectly great from a distance away. And that is ultimately the moral of the story. So, for example, what I would do in this case is I would turn off resample image, because what's the point of adding pixels if you can't see them, and change the width value to 60 inches. In my case, the height value jumps up to 24 inches, so more than 2 feet. And the resolution value drops down to 116 2/3 pixels per inch. And I don't care. Assuming that I'm going to be 3 to 4 feet away from that piece of artwork, then this is going to look just as good as 300 pixel per inch artwork up close. And then click OK to accept that. Now, if you don't believe me, what I suggest you do is go ahead and print one big image without upsampling and another big image with upsampling. Have somebody else put them on the wall so you don't know which is which. Stand about 3 to 4 feet away and decide which is the better looking image. And if you can't tell the difference, why then upsampling isn't doing you any good. You don't need those pixels. If you can tell the difference, why then go with upsampling. All right, my second solution is to upsample better using a piece of software that approaches the problem much differently than Photoshop does. And so I'm going to switch to bicubicdefault.tiff, which is my low-resolution version of the image. And it's kind of comical that I would go up to the image menu and choose the image size command and change the width of this artwork to 60 inches because now the resolution drops to 30 pixels per inch. For distant artwork, I have gone as low as the high 50s where resolution is concerned. However, I'm not sure I'd go this low. So anyway, cancel out. What do you do if you just absolutely need to upsample the image? Why then, you check out this piece of software here, Genuine Fractals. And it's available from ON1 Software. And this is their website right there, on1software.com. And it costs nearly $160 for the full version. But if this is the kind of stuff you do on a regular basis, it's well worth it. And let me show you how it works. It's really simple. I'll go ahead and switch back to Photoshop. After you install the product, and they have a 30-day demo running right now, so you go to the File menu, choose Automate, and then you choose Genuine Fractals Professional Edition. And that brings up this window here. And you have a big zoomable view of your artwork just like you do inside of Photoshop. And then you've got your pixel dimensions and your document size. And it looks a heck of a lot like the controls inside the image size dialog box. The difference is the way in which you upsample. Notice you're not given a bunch of bicubic options because it doesn't use bicubic interpolation. It instead uses fractal interpolation. So I'm going to go ahead and change this resolution value to 400 pixels per inch. And then if I press the Tab key, I can actually preview the results right here. And they look pretty darn good. As you can see, it's still kind of gumming up the details a little bit, but it's drawing some very exacting contours. So it's essentially redrawing the image by analyzing shape areas. And just to give you a sense of how it fares, I'm going to click the Cancel button because I've already done it in advance. Here is the upsampled version of the image that I upsampled just once inside of Photoshop using Bicubic Smoother. And here is the result of the multi-pass upsampling. And here's the result that I got out of Genuine Fractals. Now, I'm using a demo version, so I've got these little On1 logos here. But otherwise, check out that detail. It's not as good as the actual captured detail, albeit, but it's not bad for making up pixels out of thin air. And that, my friends, wraps up our look at image size and resolution inside Photoshop.